All right, back at it. Thought I would make another UFL video. Been seeing a lot lately on fans reacting on X every time there's a new stadium that gets announced and built. For some reason, UFL fans feel like every time a new stadium gets built, it's hey, let's go tag Mike Repole, let's go tag the UFL and be like, hey, location, new expansion team. Maybe we can put one here. I've been seeing a lot lately. I know, like Mike Repole has talked about, the new Detroit soccer stadium that's going to be like 15,000 plus for their new soccer team that's coming in. And he's talked about, hey, once that gets built, we can talk about the Michigan Panthers coming back. Another one's been Oklahoma City. He just commented on that one the other day. Apparently, they're getting a new multi-purpose stadium that is getting built, part of the new plan that the city has approved. Um, he made a comment about, hey, the stadium might be coming in 2028, which definitely implies that he is thinking about the UFL for Oklahoma City now. And then just recently, Front Office Sports had just posted about Reno getting a new 6,000 seat stadium. So of course, everyone was like, well, let's bring back the Vipers. We gotta put a team in Nevada. You need West Coast presence. So let's get a team there. Honestly, my advice to everyone is stop it. Stop with this chatter. We don't need to. Every time there's a new stadium build, we don't need to be like, oh, the UFL should move here. The UFL, like, I understand. There's not a lot of news going on. I mean, hell, I'm making a freaking video about it. So call me a hypocrite if you want, but we got to slow down a bit. I know as a fan base, we get super excited because Rapoli's talking about, hey, we're going to expand in like 2 to 3 years. I want it to be, 10, 12, 16 teams down the road. But we got to understand as a fan base, like, let's just get through 2026. Let's just see how that goes. Because the reality is, if Mike Repole wouldn't have been involved this offseason and would have put his money into the UFL, who the hell knows this league would even have gone well in 2026 without him. Do we even know that the league would have happened, or if it would have happened, how much would it have struggled? I mean, what would have been the business plan for anyone who's not named Mike Repole? So there's a lot of elements to that. Like, I can understand, like, if you want to look at the location. So let's go ahead, just for the hell of it, since we're already making the video. Let's talk about it. Like, Oklahoma City, I think if you're gonna move a team to Oklahoma, that probably makes more sense than Tulsa. I know the Tulsa area very well. A couple of my best friends from high school live out there. A couple of my wife's best friends live up in Tulsa, so we go up there quite a bit. It seems like an ideal location, but Oklahoma City is obviously more attractive just because you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got minor league baseball over there. So there's already a sports presence within there that's a little bit stronger than in Tulsa, where Tulsa you got the both Oiler teams, the hockey and the football team. You got the college there. So I know there's some attractiveness that comes with Tulsa, but honestly, Oklahoma City makes a lot more sense in terms of, like, you got Bricktown, you got you got a big city, you got a bigger city that you could work with Oklahoma. So that just makes a whole lot more sense to do it there. So I can understand, like, hey, maybe this could be a location for 2028. I'm going to be blunt. I don't know if I would put an expansion team in Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City should be more of a option if the Dallas Renegades don't work out. And I know the UFL wants to stay in Arlington just because the main office is in Arlington, so they don't really want to burn that relationship with Arlington. But the reality is, if we looked at attendance, the Renegades were in the bottom half of attendance last year. So I think the Renegades really need to show in the next couple years that if they move to Toyota Stadium, that it's going to pay off for them to move there and try to move the needle and get an increase in attendance, because they were under 10,000 per game last year and they need to improve. So if it ends up that it's not going to work out, then I think Oklahoma City would make a lot more sense for, like, a relocation to become the Oklahoma City Renegades or something like that, not create a whole new team and add like a new expansion team. That needs to be a relocation team. So I want to make that clear just because there's already a ton in the South, and the league needs to do a better job of trying to migrate over to the West Coast and maybe add one or two more teams in the East Coast and really try to spread it out around the country. Because right now it's just compiled all in one central area around the South. And they got to find a way to like move away from there or just add more pieces on the outside. When you talk about Reno, I Vegas, Vegas, Nevada area, like I don't really know if you want to go down that route either. Like, do we like I know we want to be West Coast and I just think there's better options. Like if you want to go to Portland, go back to Seattle, San Diego, Oakland, like there's so many options. I don't know if Nevada is going to be great anymore. Maybe before they had the Aces, the Golden Knights, the Raiders, they got the Athletics about to move there. Like it might have been a better option maybe 10, 15 years ago. But at this point, the Vipers, for the situation they were in, because we all know Cashman Field was really crappy. We can all acknowledge that. But, they didn't do a bad job there. I mean, they were still able to get 5, 6,000 fans a game. So kudos to them. But, to the XFL. But I just don't know if I would go back there. I just think with betting and everything that's involved with Nevada, I just don't know if I would ever go back there again. I would maybe stray away and hit up the other points in the West Coast that make sense. Like I said, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, Los Angeles, or maybe not Los Angeles, but could be Los Angeles. I mean, the Wildcats weren't terrible in 2020, but like Oakland, like those locations make more sense. I would maybe target those if they're going to go West Coast. So, and then Michigan, obviously, I think we all agree they should move back to Michigan. I think they probably shouldn't have moved out of there in the first place. They should have found a different stadium and kept the Panthers in place because they were the only team really that improved last year. So it's kind of weird that they got punished. But I understand Ford Field not a great location, but still have some questions about them being relocated. So for them, that soccer stadium makes a lot more sense for them to join this new, Dallas FC or Detroit FC that's going to be there. Like, I think that makes a ton more sense. Why not move there when everything's up and running and get the Michigan Panthers back in there? Now, the momentum might be killed by then since it could be a year or two before they get in there. So maybe the momentum's completely gone from what they were building, but it does make sense if they want to, move back in there, they can. But my advice to fans is we don't need to be tagging UFL or Mike Repole every single time. Like there's going to be stadiums that are going to be built all the time. Not every location needs to be a UFL location. I would just focus on let's make it work in Orlando. Let's make it work in Louisville. Let's make it work in Columbus. Let's make it work in the other locations as well. Because right now the league needs to be successful in 8 locations before they can even consider adding 2, 4, 6, 8 teams down the road. I just think we need to. UFL fans, sometimes tend to jump the gun a little bit and start thinking about the future, and I can understand that. It's fun to talk about expansion. It's fun to talk about different locations and stuff like that, but we really need to make sure that we're hitting it home with the locations we have now and then move forward after that. I'd love to be able to look at some of the social medias, followings when it comes down to the 3 new teams. How are they doing? I think my understanding was I don't believe Orlando's doing as well as the other 2. So it's like, you know, I'm a little worried that we need to make some of these other new locations work first. Like Columbus and Louisville, I think will do pretty well, but I still got my reservations about Orlando, about being burned so much. Are people actually going to come out to these games, or is it going to be kind of the same as when the Guardians were here in 2023? So my advice to fans is I know there's going to be nice, pretty new stadiums that get built, soccer stadiums that are going to make a perfect sense for the UFL, but let's get through 2026. Let's, look at how these new locations work. Let's make sure everyone can get over 10,000 a game. When we do that, then we can get to talking about the other locations and start expanding to 10, 12, 14, 16 teams and have a little more fun after that. But for now, let's just focus on the near future and get through 2026. So that's it for this video. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell me, let me know what you guys think. Do you Do you like some of these new locations that are kind of being tagged and being talked about by the league? Do you have other locations in mind? Do you think we should even be talking about locations? I don't think we should be, but I know that's a fun topic for everyone. So I'd love to hear if you guys have other locations that would be good for the UFL, or if maybe we should stop talking about it altogether. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will be back with another video soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.